You know Kurzgesagt, right? They're an absolute titan on YouTube, especially in the educational space. But have you ever wondered how they actually got there? So in this explainer, we're going to put them under the microscope. We are going to deconstruct their entire strategy, piece by piece, to figure out how they built a channel that YouTube's recommendation system understands so perfectly. This isn't about some secret magic trick. It's a masterclass in making the system work for you, not fighting against it. So let's start with the big one. How do you actually succeed on YouTube these days? It's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And I bet if you spend even 5 minutes looking for an answer, you've been totally bombarded with this huge list of must-dos and so-called growth hacks that promise you the world.
You know the drill. You have to post every single day, you gotta jump on every trending topic, and you better master the latest trick to go viral. But what if I told you that one of the most dominant channels on the entire platform built its empire by doing the exact opposite of all that? Yeah, it's time to pull back the curtain on a completely different kind of success story. Okay, first, let's just take a moment to appreciate the sheer scale we're talking about here. We're talking over 20 million subscribers, and that's not just some vanity metric, right? That is a global community built on years of trust and a super focused long-term strategy. And the views? Over 2 billion. Just let that number sink in for a second. These are the kinds of figures that most creators can only dream about, and they got there by playing a totally different game. So how in the world did they do it? Well, it all boils down to 3 core pillars. Let's dig in. All right, so pillar number 1 is all about having one audience and one single promise you make to them. Think of it like a restaurant that's famous for one thing, like the absolute perfect pizza. They've mastered it, their customers know exactly what they're going to get, and they know they're going to love it every single time. That's the kind of powerful consistency that builds some serious loyalty. And their niche? Man, it is crystal clear. Big idea explainer videos. That's the whole menu. You won't find any daily news, no hot takes, no personal vlogs. It's just deep dives into these huge, fascinating topics for a very specific type of viewer. It's for that person who just loves to learn and really appreciates a thoughtful, beautifully researched explanation. And this is why that laser focus is just so brilliant. See, YouTube's main job is to connect viewers with content they'll love. By being so relentlessly consistent, Kurzgesagt basically hands the system a perfect roadmap on a silver platter, saying, hey, this is exactly who our audience is. Now go find more people just like them. It's a total win-win. Okay, so that brings us to the second piece of the puzzle, what I call the rhythm of reliability. It's not just about what they make, it's also about how they make it. The predictability in their format and their schedule sends this incredibly powerful signal to both their audience and to YouTube's recommendation engine. I mean, just look at this chart. It pretty much says it all. Almost all of their videos, like 90% of them, fall into this super specific 6 to 12-minute sweet spot. And you gotta know, this is not an accident. It's a deliberate choice that creates a predictable viewing experience. The system learns from this, and it builds a ton of trust in the channel's ability to consistently satisfy its viewers. And you know what? This also explains why their super slow, once-a-month upload schedule is actually a massive strength. One absolute knockout video that delights viewers sends a much clearer, much stronger signal to the system than, say, a dozen mediocre videos. It's all about making every single upload count. And that leads us to the third and final pillar. And this one is so important. It's what we call the honest signal. This is all about how they package their content. Their titles and thumbnails, they aren't just there to get any random click. They're actually like a bouncer at an exclusive club, carefully designed to attract the perfect viewer right from the start. So you've got 2 totally different ways of thinking about this, right? On one side, you have clickbait. It's basically a giant, messy net. Sure, you'll catch a lot of clicks, but most of those viewers will leave quickly, which just ends up confusing the algorithm. But Kurzgesagt's method? That's more like a perfectly crafted lure for a very specific kind of fish. It might not get as many initial bites, but the ones it gets are the right ones, and that leads to deep, satisfying engagement. And this is where it all comes together, the big reveal. The big secret to their success isn't some crazy complicated hack or hidden trick. It's actually super simple. They just make the algorithm's job incredibly easy. They give it so much clarity and so much consistency that YouTube knows exactly what to do with their content every single time. Imagine YouTube's algorithm giving them a report card. After years and years of consistent data, Kurzgesagt is getting straight A's across the board. They serve a predictable audience, they get consistent retention, and they produce reliable satisfaction.
They almost never disappoint. With that kind of sterling track record, is it any wonder the system has so much confidence in them?
So, what does this all mean for you as a creator? Well, the key is not to copy their style, but to adopt their principles. First, you got to define your one audience and just serve them relentlessly. Second, build a reliable format they can count on. Third, make your thumbnails and titles an honest filter, not just some cheap trick to get a click. And finally, and most importantly, focus on long-term viewer satisfaction over chasing short-term wins.
But, and this is really, really important, please do not confuse their tactics with their strategy. That incredible animation style, the exact topics they pick, even their slow upload schedule, those are the symptoms of their strategy, not the strategy itself. If you try to copy those surface-level things without understanding the deep principles underneath, you're just setting yourself up for failure. And this quote just hits the nail on the head. Principles scale. Shortcuts don't. The core ideas we've talked about, clarity, consistency, audience focus, you can apply those to any channel, in any niche, on any budget. But if you're just looking for a quick fix, you're always going to be disappointed. So really, it's about a complete mindset shift. You need to stop asking, how can I get the algorithm to push my videos? And start asking, how can I help the system understand my channel so clearly that it wants to share my work with the right people? That right there, that is the game changer. So, I'll leave you with this one last question to really think about. Is your current strategy built on fighting the system, trying to trick it for temporary gains, or are you trying to build a true partnership with it for long-term, sustainable success? The path you choose will define your entire journey as a creator.